In 1896, a British administrator in East Africa tried something that should have worked. He had zebras. He had harnesses. He had every reason to believe that what Europeans had done with horses, Africans could do with the striped animal that roamed the same continent in the millions. The experiment failed badly enough that one of the zebras put a man in the hospital before the harness was even fully attached. The administrator wasn't incompetent. The zebras weren't unusually aggressive. The attempt failed because it was built on an assumption so reasonable it almost never gets questioned. That zebras and horses are basically the same animal in different packaging. They are not. And the gap between them explains something far larger than why one pulls a carriage and the other doesn't. Start with what domestication actually requires. Most people assume it's about tameness. Break the animal's will, train it long enough, and domestication follows. That's not how it works. Taming and domesticating are completely different processes operating on completely different timescales. Taming is what happens to an individual animal. A hand-raised wolf can be tame. A circus elephant can be tame. Domestication is what happens to an entire species across hundreds of generations. It's a genetic shift, not a behavioral one. For domestication to take hold, a species needs to clear a specific set of biological checkboxes. Not one or two. All of them. Miss a single checkbox and the project fails regardless of how much time or effort goes in. Horses cleared every box. Zebras fail at almost every one. The first checkbox is diet. Domesticated animals need to eat what humans can provide or manage. Horses are grazers. Grass, hay, grain. All of it easy to grow, store, and ration. Feeding a horse at scale is a solved problem. Zebras graze too. So far, identical. The second checkbox is growth rate. An animal that takes 15 years to reach working size is economically useless as a domesticated species. Horses reach maturity in roughly 4 to 5 years. Zebras are similar. Still identical. Still no obvious explanation. The third checkbox is where things start to separate. Disposition toward humans under stress. Horses have a panic response that, while powerful, follows a predictable pattern. They spook. They bolt. They run. And critically, once the threat passes, they settle. A spooked horse can be calmed, redirected, and return to work within the same hour. Zebras panic differently. When a zebra perceives a threat, it doesn't simply run. It enters a state researchers describe as unrelenting alertness. The stress response doesn't cycle down the way it does in horses. A zebra that has been frightened once in a day remains in a heightened state for hours afterward. Sometimes for the remainder of the day entirely. In the wild, that response makes perfect sense. Zebras evolved on the African savanna alongside lions, cheetahs, leopards, hyenas, and wild dogs simultaneously. A prey animal on that landscape that relaxed too quickly after a threat died. The ones that survived were the ones that stayed afraid longest. That survival trait is precisely what makes zebras impossible to work with. The fourth checkbox is the one that ends the conversation entirely. Dominance hierarchy. Horses establish clear social rankings within a herd. There is an alpha. There is an order beneath the alpha. And critically, horses are biologically capable of transferring that hierarchy relationship to a human handler. When a skilled horse trainer establishes dominance calmly and consistently, the horse's social wiring accepts a human at the top of its hierarchy. It doesn't stop being a horse. It simply files the human into the social structure it already understands. Zebras have no transferable hierarchy. Their social structure operates on a system of constant individual negotiation rather than stable ranked relationships. There is no position a human can occupy in a zebra's social world because zebras don't maintain the kind of stable ranked relationships that allow for that position to exist. You cannot become the alpha of a zebra herd. The concept doesn't map onto how zebras organize themselves. Every interaction starts from zero. There is one more thing. The thing that makes zebra domestication not just difficult but physically dangerous in a way horses almost never are. Zebras bite. And they do not let go. Horses bite too. Any horse owner will tell you that. But a horse bite is a warning, a correction, a moment of aggression that ends. Zebra bites are a different category of event. Zebras clamp down and hold with a grip strong enough to break human bones, and they maintain that grip through being struck, through being pulled, through almost any intervention short of rendering them unconscious. More zookeepers are injured by zebras annually than by any big cat in captivity. Which brings everything back to that administrator in 1896 and his reasonable, doomed experiment. He wasn't wrong to try. The logic was sound on the surface. Same continent. Same grass. Same general body plan as an animal humans had partnered with for 6,000 years. What he couldn't have known was that domestication isn't something you do to an animal. It's something a species has to be biologically capable of accepting. And that capability was shaped not by what humans needed from the animal, but by what the animal's evolutionary history built into it long before humans arrived with harnesses. Horses came from landscapes where the right move was sometimes to stop running and stand your ground. That produced an animal capable of tolerating proximity to something frightening. Zebras came from a landscape where nothing was ever safe enough to stop running from. The horse didn't become domesticated because humans were clever enough to tame it. It became domesticated because 10,000 years of shared grassland evolution had already built the biological architecture that made the relationship possible. The zebra never got that architecture. It got something better suited to surviving lions. Just not something that fits inside a harness.